Digimon World 1 is a wonderful experience, full of charm, whimsy, and almost universally loved by Digimon fans. But it is also a pretty cryptic game that likes to hide a lot of things from the player. Last time around, we took a look into the secrets and lost content hiding within the data, and we found plenty of intriguing stuff in there. But even when it comes to normal gameplay, Digimon World 1 doesn't really tell you much about what's going on. You're basically thrown into a scary new world, given a little bit of exposition, and expected to figure it out on your own from there. Your Digimon partner starts off pretty weak, and if you wander away too far, something the game won't really stop you from doing, you'll quickly learn how terrible an idea that is. Even in the early game, random Digimon roaming around in the wild can and will beat the diddly right out of you if you get too curious. Not only is the game not going to hold your hand, it will slap you in the face, given the opportunity. So the obvious option for you would be to train your Digimon at the nearby gym, which is quite literally one screen away from where you begin. Okay, sure, but train what? Should you train HP? That makes a lot of sense. It would help survive against all the enemies out there. But what about MP? Or offense? Or defense? And what does speed do? It can be pretty overwhelming and confusing, especially since your Digimon either wants to eat or defecate every few minutes. Sometimes it wants to do both at the same time. Now that's what I call fun game design. But the most important thing that you would want to know about is how to get your Digimon to digivolve into cooler forms. Well, Digimon World 1 wanted to make that as difficult a process as it possibly can. Every Digivolution has certain criteria that your Digimon needs to meet before the game will let you digivolve into it. The requirements can depend on the stats or how well you took care of your Digimon, to its weight or happiness or a bunch of other stuff that you may or may not know about, or even understand. And if you don't know what you're doing, your Digimon will probably digivolve into Numemon, which is not ideal, I think you would agree. But if you were to train your Digimon reasonably well, you would end up with something half decent, even if it may not be the exact Digimon you wanted. If you like the element of surprise when it comes to what you may end up with, then you have nothing to worry about. But if you want your Agumon to become a Greymon and Metal Greymon later on, you will need to be precise. Of course, the game won't tell you about any of this. You could spend hundreds of hours of your life trying to figure out the requirements needed for your favorite Digimon. Or you could use a guide like the rest of us. Some of the criteria for certain Digivolutions is so difficult to comprehend that it took years to figure out, like the precise requirements for Hercules Kabuterimon, for example. So yeah, some Digivolutions are easier to acquire, while others are a little more complex. But at the very least, once you know how to get a certain champion or ultimate level Digimon, you can pretty much always do so. If you know how to do it, your Agumon will become a Greymon and then a Metal Greymon every time. There's no chance or RNG involved, right? And then there are the secret Digivolutions. These special Digivolutions have their own requirements, ignoring almost everything we've learned so far. Some of them quite literally sound like an online troll made them up. Very similar to playground rumors that we all used to hear back in the day. Like, hey, beat the Elite Four 50 times and then you'll unlock the Pokegods and Mew 3. Or how about, hey, you can find Chimeramon on the 99th floor of Terra Domain. It took a long time for me to get over that one, as many of you know. While we were never able to get our hands on a Pokegod, the secret Digivolutions in this game are very much real. The criteria that you need to meet for these Digivolutions can range from the odd and weird to completely insane, to the point where you will begin to question the sanity of the people who came up with them. Well, today we are gonna take a look into all of these Digivolutions, and I will personally try to get each and every one of them. So I hope you're all ready, because here are the secret Digivolutions of Digimon World 1. First, let's talk about some basics. Time is an important element in this game. Besides the general amount of time a Digimon has been alive for, The game keeps track of how long that Digimon has been in a certain form. Normal champion and ultimate level Digivolutions do depend on a certain amount of time passing in a certain form before they can happen. Normal Digivolutions reset this counter to 0 when they happen. This will become relevant with a couple of the special Digivolutions, although in strange ways. The other thing I do want to mention is that I will use Digivolution items to get certain Digimon. The items here don't depend on an evolution counter in any way, so you might see very young champion or ultimate level Digimon here and there. They aren't hacked or anything. The only problem with Digivolution items is that they don't give your Digimon the stat bonuses which usually come with Digivolving. Alright then, let's begin with the simple, easy ones. Normally, in training Digimon digivolve into a rookie after 24 hours have passed. But let's say you don't like in training Digimon. If you don't want to wait that long, there is another way. Native Forest is basically the first area that you get access to in the game. In here, there is a place called the Kunimon's Bed, where you, shockingly, find a Kunimon hanging around the first time you come here. If you talk to it, it will attack you. A reasonable response. After you beat it up, it will go join the city. Now, if you bring an in-training Digimon to this place and let it sleep here, there is a 50% chance of it digivolving into a Kunimon when it wakes up. Any in-training Digimon can be used for this, even if it normally wouldn't turn into a Kunimon. In my opinion, that is pretty terrifying. What is happening here exactly? Is there some kind of Kunimon infection going on here that can only affect young and weak Digimon? Is this place cursed or is this place a blessing? You can be the judge. Well, after you get a rookie level Digimon, you'd want to get around to training it so it can become a champion. Like I mentioned earlier, normal Digivolutions have a host of requirements, from raw stats to weight and whatnot. Each rookie has a number of potential champions that it can digivolve into. After 72 hours pass as a rookie, the game will begin to check for possible Digivolutions that can happen now. Well, it is possible that your rookie doesn't meet the criteria for any of its potential Digivolutions. Now, if that's the case, and if your rookie passes 96 hours in its current form, then an automatic Digivolution would be triggered. Yup, you get a Numemon, but that's not all. Like I said before, normal Digivolutions tend to increase a Digimon's stats when they happen. In this case, your stats are actually reduced by 20%. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. You get to do this with your Numemon. That makes up for everything, right? But there is another special Digivolution only available for a Numemon. If you haven't finished the Toy Town quest yet, you can find a Monzaemon suit there. If you take a Numemon to it, it'll steal the suit and digivolve into Monzaemon. This can usually be only done once, but if this Monzaemon passes away before you finish up with the Toy Town area, you can find the suit again. After you're done with Toy Town though, the suit will eventually end up in Digimon's house. But you cannot use it even if you do bring a Numemon to it. You know, I've actually been toying around with the idea for a challenge run for this game. Maybe something disturbing, like a Numemon only run? I hope not, but let me know if you would like to see that. If this video gets, I don't know, 1,000 likes or something like that, then I guess I'll have no choice. Now that might be it for Numemon, but as you know, that isn't the only Digimon associated with feces. Maybe you're a fan of one of the other two, so let's take a look on how you can get them. As your Digimon continues to exist, it will want to use the bathroom every now and then. Now you can be a reasonable person and take it to the bathroom. But if you're tired of being shackled by the concept of cleanliness, you can let it poop wherever you want it to. You can literally have it poop inside Digimon's house as a power move to show him who's really in charge. Now you should keep in mind that your Digimon has a virus meter that goes up whenever you let it do its business without proper care. If that meter gets full, then this happens. Your Digimon spent so much time messing about with its own filth, it literally turned into the living embodiment of it. As far as I'm concerned, I'd rather play another game entirely rather than train this thing. To add poop to injury, your Digimon gets a massive 50% reduction to its stats for digivolving into Sukamon. But if you really don't want to look at this thing like me, there is a way out. You can find King Sukamon in Trash Mountain. If you take your own Sukamon to it, the king will help you turn it back to the form it was in before. The stat reduction from before will go away, but any stats that the Sukamon gained will be halved upon this de-digivolution. But hey, a small price to pay to not have to look at that thing anymore. But as all real Digifans know, there is another member of the poop trio. This one ain't as easy to get though. For Numemon, you had to be a bad trainer. For Sukamon, you had to be a disgusting, unclean trainer. For this one, you have to become a literal psychopath. Your Digimon has a meter for its happiness as well as discipline. Both are quite important, but happiness especially can have a major impact on your Digimon. If it gets too low, it'll cause a decrease in stats and can even lead to losing lifespan. But to get this special Digivolution, you literally have to become an awful person yourself. Because you need your Digimon to have the absolute minimum happiness and discipline. That's not even easy to achieve. You have to go out of your way to be a monster to your own Digimon. So you don't feed it, you don't take it to the bathroom, you work it to the bone, and then you don't even let it sleep. You literally have to torture the poor thing. And once you've pushed your partner to its very limit, once it hates your existence more than anything, there's only one more thing left to do. You have to scold it one more time. In an act of pure defiance, your Digimon digivolved into Nanimon. I don't know why Nanimon is associated with such horrible behavior, but here we are. You can take this Nanimon around and let it do what it was born to do, which is fart in the face of other Digimon. This is pretty gross, but I expected nothing less. And as for its finishing move, which it shares with the rest of the poop trio, it's called Party Time. Here we go again. Great! Well, I hope you're not tired of making your Digimon suffer for the sake of a weird secret Digivolution, because we are not done with that yet. Next up, we're gonna let enemy Digimon join in on the fun by letting them beat the diddly out of our Digimon. Whenever your Digimon loses a battle and you don't revive it during the timer that shows up, your Digimon will get knocked out and lose one of its 3 lives. If your Digimon was to lose all 3 of its lives, then it'll pass away right there. After losing a life, you'll wind up back at Digimon's house. And you may have lost a few items from your inventory, as they may have been stolen by the Digimon who asserted dominance by beating your partner up. Now let's say you have a rookie Digimon. Maybe you just started the game and are still getting to grips with how things work. Let's say you wind up in the wrong part of the neighborhood. You know, where the Vegemon and their friends hang out. Your partner will probably get their backside whooped while you stand there and watch like a real man. After you get warped back to Digimon's house, there is a small chance that you may get to witness something pretty cool. I guess your Digimon really had the life beaten out of it. You can get this champion level Bakemon pretty much on day 1 if you wanted to. It ignores all other requirements, but there is only a 10% chance of this actually working. You do get stat bonuses from this Digivolution as well. Oh, and I've been told that this doesn't work for Penguinmon for some reason. Maybe penguins don't have souls? Next up, let's take a look at the fan favorite Angemon. Angemon got a pretty prominent role in the original anime, in the fight against Devimon. Anyway, for this one, we'll have to go out in the wild again, and force our Angemon to fight. After he gets whipped, which in this case was by a Vegemon, as our main character shows his undying devotion to his partner. Back at Digimon's house, there is a 10% chance of another special Digivolution. Our Angemon has turned to the dark side. Well, getting smashed by a Vegemon would do that, I suppose. Next up is the much loved Metal Greymon. Same as before, we gotta put this Metal Greymon into a dangerous situation, which he is not equipped to handle, while the main character shows their support to their fallen partner. Same thing as before, there is another 10% chance of something cool happening. Now that is an awesome looking Digimon. The stats don't really go up or anything, but I think that's a general case for Digivolutions that don't change the level of the Digimon. We've got one more secret Digivolution that we can unlock by intentionally allowing our Digimon to get harmed. I really don't like Kokatorimon. I mean, it creeps me out, honestly. Maybe it's the eyes. Maybe it's because I have vague memories of being attacked by a chicken when I was a kid. Anyway, after letting him get ganged up on by a trio of Kaburimon, we were back at the house. And if the 10% chance goes your way, the creepy chicken will begin to change. Honestly, in my opinion, this is a massive improvement from what we had before. But with all these on-death Digivolutions, it's hard to say how the creators of this game expected people to figure this out. If some kid accidentally got one of these Digivolutions back in the day, they would probably just be called a liar. Pretty sad when you think about it. But I suppose it did give the game a certain air of mystery around it. Anyway, moving on to the next one. This time, we don't need to let our partner get hurt. On the contrary, now we're gonna be the ones to cause harm and suffering. We're gonna need a Vegemon. You remember Vegemon from the last video, right? The most alpha male way to get one would be to get the lost Pangeamon and allow it to achieve its full potential by digivolving into Vegemon. Or you could get it the normal non-alpha male way if you want to. Now the next step, strangely, is to have this Vegemon go out there and slaughter any wild Digimon unfortunate enough to get in his way, for it needs to win 50 battles. I kept it pretty simple, by beating up the weakest Digimon I could find. I am pretty sure that's the alpha male way, right? With that taken care of, we need to get this Vegiemon to 100 discipline, which isn't that hard to be honest. There's a pretty simple trick to it. Keep offering your Digimon items, and if they refuse, scold them and give it to them again. Keep doing that until you get to maximum discipline. The final step is to let this Vegiemon sleep. Upon waking up, there's a 30% chance, well, okay, it's better than 10, I guess, for the Vegiemon to digivolve. We now have a Ninjamon. Great, but wait, hold on. What's going on now? Okay, we have a Metal Mamemon now? Maybe we accidentally met the requirements for it or something? But I looked up the requirements and I'm pretty certain we didn't meet them. I have no idea what happened here or why. The Ninjamon is what we were supposed to get. Maybe the Vegiemon that we get from Pangeamon is really special in some way? Well, I decided that the only reasonable thing to do is to raise another Vegiemon the old-fashioned way. So I got a Palmon, got the stats in range for Vegiemon, and I got to work. And this meant that I had to do another 50 battles, so a lot of Madoki Betamon and Tokunimon had to be farmed. I did accidentally raise the overall stats higher than last time, but I tried to get them in the same order as before, in case the Metal Mamemon Digivolution depended on that. The weight was a lot higher before, but I really don't think Metal Mamemon would depend on a high weight. And here we are, ready to go. After a bunch of tries, because it is still a 30% chance after all, I finally got the trigger. Now let's watch what happens. So this time, we only got the Ninjamon. This Digivolution did raise some stats as well. Not a massive boost, but hey, it's better than nothing. This was a strange one. I can't really tell if the Metal Mamemon thing was a glitch or if there is a way to trigger it. Maybe there's a low chance on top of the 30% of that happening? RNG within RNG. That would be pretty evil. But either way, I don't know if it's even worth it. Next up, we'll take a look at another similar Digivolution, this time featuring Drymogimon, another Digimon that I do not enjoy looking at. For this one, we don't need to fight any battles at all. Instead, we need to raise this Digimon's defense to 500 or more. After that's done, we need to max out the discipline as well. Then we just gotta have the Drymogimon take a nap, and there is, once again, a 30% chance of it happening. But if we get the RNG to go in our way, the Drymogimon, upon waking up, will start to digivolve. We end up with a Monochromon. One of the most forgettable Digimon for me, personally. But if you're a fan of both Drymogimon and Monochromon, well, here you go. Our next secret Digivolution seems quite simple, but it's actually not. Essentially, all you need is a champion level Digimon who has an evolution counter of at least 240 hours, which is 10 days. Remember, the special Digivolutions that don't change the level of the Digimon, like the Drymogimon to Monochromon one, don't reset the evolution counter either. But once you have a champion that has been alive for that long, then all you need to do is praise or scold the Digimon. And there's a 50% chance that this will happen. we get Vademon, an ultimate level Digimon, which didn't raise the stats at all, which is disappointing. It's probably because a Digivolution item was used to get the initial Drymogimon. Well, to be absolutely sure, I'll have to do this for a champion level Digimon that was raised the normal way. But that is such a hassle, there's no need for me to do it, right? Since we've already seen the special Digivolution. Okay, fine, I'll do it, for all of you. So I went back to the Palmon who digivolves into Vegiemon from earlier. I raised it as best I could. I didn't even let him get too tired and had him rested every few training sessions. The only ultimate that Vegiemon can digivolve into is Piximon, and I made sure that I didn't fulfill the requirements for it. I even used a couple of Chain Melons and Digi Seabasses to increase the lifespan further. And here we are. This is a very old Vegiemon, and there's only one thing left to do now. And finally, we have a Vademon that we got the old-fashioned way. And the stats do go up this time. I suppose the Digivolution item I used for the earlier attempt was the problem after all. Oh well, at least now we know for sure. For the next secret Digivolutions, we'll need a Mamemon. We have to bring this Mamemon to the Godromon who talks about remodeling. And you have to pay 2000 bits to try it. Now from here on, there are a total of 3 possibilities here. The remodeling may not work, in which case you lose the 2000 bits for nothing. Or the remodeling might be successful, in which case this happens. Our Mamemon became a Metal Mamemon. Cool, I suppose. There is a 5 in 11 chance of this happening. The final possibility is that the Godromon will say it didn't work, but this has a 1 in 11 chance of occurring, and let's see what happens. This time we got a Gyromon. It's alright, I guess. And now we have our final 2 secret Digivolutions. For the first of these 2, we need either Seadramon or a Birdramon. Again, I'm gonna go with the Digivolution item for this one. You need to get this Digimon to maximum happiness and discipline. After that, when it's about to take a nap, you have to make sure it has 0 tiredness. I did this by having him do nothing during a whole day and resting him before nap time just in case. If you've done everything right, there is, once again, a 30% chance that a Digivolution will happen when the Digimon wakes up. Nice! An Airdramon. I don't know if I would take that over a Seadramon though. But wait, there's more we can get out of this. If your Digimon was old enough before you attempted this, there is a possibility for the resulting Airdramon to immediately digivolve. Let's see what happens here. Now that is a much better outcome. If you do it the old-fashioned way, without using Digivolution items, there should be a stat boost for this Digivolution as well. And finally, we get to our final secret Digivolution. I've saved the most insane, convoluted Digivolution of them all for last. For this one, we'll need a Vamon or Shellmon. Once again, I used an item on the very first day to get my Vamon. Now what we need to do is this. We have to praise or scold this Digimon, when the evolution counter is exactly at 200 hours. You heard me right. Exactly. No more than that or less. And then, to top it all off, there is a 30% chance of this actually working. And if you do everything right and get the RNG to work in your favor, you'll get a Koalamon. How in the name of sweet diddly was someone supposed to figure this out? Who came up with this nonsense? What were they taking at the time? 'Cause I tell you what, this ain't coming from a sane mind. Well, if you do wanna simplify it somewhat, 200 hours is about 8.3 days. That makes it a little easier to calculate. After 8 days had passed for this Vamon, I just kept scolding or praising, hoping I get it to happen. After what seemed like a very, very long time, I finally triggered a Digivolution. Finally, it's time to see our darn Koalamon. Wait, what? Mamemon? Why? Well, apparently, if this Vamon's happiness gets too high, it'll just digivolve into Mamemon. Fantastic. So I went back, kept trying while making sure the happiness doesn't get too high. It just would not work. And when I was almost ready to give up on this, well... Finally, we have our Koalamon. Well, to be honest, there is something I didn't mention before, because Koalamon isn't sticking around. Yes, if you get this ridiculous secret Digivolution to happen, the Koalamon will instantly digivolve to Mega Seadramon. I guess there was some kind of silver lining for all this. But really, I don't think I'll ever truly forgive the person who came up with this. In fact, I'm not particularly fond of most of these special Digivolutions. Sure, there are a couple of fun ones, like the Monzeamon one or the ones we get through Gordramon. But the rest of them are so annoying to get. The RNG element is absurd. I don't care if this added a lot of mystique to the game, some of these Digivolutions are really dumb and really not worth it. I am curious though, what do you all think about these secret Digivolutions? Did you ever find any of them through normal gameplay without knowing about them beforehand? Do let me know in the comments. And I want to give a quick shout out to the people who solved the community challenge I posted earlier in the week. A bunch of you figured it out really quickly. I think Roochman got it like 16 seconds after the post went live. Incredible work, Roochman. I'll have to try and make things harder next time, huh? And there were a couple of responses that I found really funny, so I wanted to share those as well. And here is where I would like to show off all my Patreon supporters. If I had any. Well, I'll see you all next week then. And remember, if anyone gets in your face and tries to bother you, keep your cool and ask yourself one thing. What would Nanimon do?